YouTube's Wolf Metal Development. It's my 263rd weekly update. First and foremost, I want to just remind everybody, /announce, I guess. Remind is the wrong word. Yes, announce is the correct word. I want to announce that I have released my 5th yearly update. I released it on Wednesday in lieu of a 2 video, which 2 videos will return next week. I have plenty of footage now. I'm actually training 4 days a week during the week now, so I actually have 4 days worth of footage to show you, which includes 2 press days, 1 squat day, and 1 deadlift day. And I'm still continuing the same tradition of filming the main movements and sort of just leaving the accessory movements, you know, the not so sexy, not so heavy movements, just in the sort of wayside, because most people don't care about those sorts of things. Although important, it is what it is. So enjoy that. It will probably be at the end screen of this video, the yearly update. Pretty wild. 5 years I've been doing this. 5 years I've only missed maybe 2 or 3 days that I can remember. And when I say missed, I just mean literally late. I think there might literally be 1 week where I actually just completely skipped because I just honestly probably just forgot about it. But hard-pressed to find that week. You may be thinking I'll go through his channel and look for videos that are missing in the chronology. That won't work because there are actually some videos that for some reason got copyright struck. Back when I used to use music from a ex-bandmate of mine, I ended up getting a few copyright strikes on about 4 or 5 of my videos. Because I was using his music as the intro. And it's so weird because it's like I used that music intro for like 2 years on either intros or background music and all that, and never had a problem with any of it. And then all of a sudden there was like 5 or so videos, not even in a row, that got struck by the YouTube algorithm. And it turned out he had given the same beats to some other people he knew, and they had rapped over it or whatever, and then they'd used it for music. And then I was getting copyright strikes because they had more, essentially because they had more views on those particular videos that they had made. Not a lot more, might I add. It was maybe in the hundreds versus, my, tens. But yeah, it was so weird how that happened. And so that's why some of the videos from my channel are actually missing. I wasn't going to fight it. None of it's monetized. They weren't anything that were, life-changing for anybody. Missing a week or 2 here isn't going to kill anybody. So, moving forward though, as you'll notice, the new intro I've made just basically took the other intro, shortened it even shorter, and threw in some pictures from this last year, some notable pictures from this last year. On the end, also updated the music, just using YouTube's free music that doesn't need any kind of, hey, shout-outs or anything like that. I think it's a lot more metal, a lot closer to me. Other than that, what else is there from the yearly update? Not much. I guess I'll actually talk about training this week because we are back on schedule, baby. Following just a relatively standard linear progression, and basically the plan is every 4 weeks, increase the intensity and reduce the volume, while also on the 5th week doing a deload. So the first 4-week block, or month, if you want to call it that, but the first 4-week block, plan is for 4 sets of 8 on every exercise, going up maybe 5 to 10 pounds, just a few percentage points every week, while keeping dead nuts perfect form on, at the very least, the squat and the deadlift, because those are my nasty movements that I really don't care about the weight right now. I just want to not be in pain. And then on the pressing movements, my bench is going to jump up drastically just because that's what always happens when I get back on bench. I haven't benched in about 4 months. First day I laid down last week, I think I was able to still bench 225 for like 7, which my record's like 12 or 15 for 225. So, I mean, the strength is still pretty there. I think this week I ended up doing 215 for like 7-ish. It should have been 8, but that 8th one was right there, and did a lot of volume beforehand. But so essentially the plan is 4 sets of 8 for 4 weeks, slowly bumping up the numbers, 5 to 10 pounds at the most, just a very standard linear progression, really focused on form. That 5th week, I'll take a deload week. That rolls right into the next progression, which will be a 5x5. So the intensity goes up, and the overall volume also, the overall volume goes down because we go from 32 reps of a particular movement of working set reps down to 25. So the volume goes down, but the intensity goes up, meaning the weight. In between those two, between the 4x8s and the 5x5s, I'll have a deload week where I'll actually do a bit of testing. And by testing, I mean I'll just roll into the 5x5 by being very gentle. And just doing sets of 5 with the same weights I was ending the 8s with. So if I end up doing 225 for 8 on squats, I'll do 225 for 5 on the squats. Being that it's going to be much lighter, it'll be a good deload. And then right into the following week, when I actually start the 5x5 for realsies, the top set will probably be something like 235 or 255, something along those lines. You know, the number should jump up, you know, a good couple percentage points. Let's put it that way. If, for instance, I end with 4 sets of 8 with 225 as the top set, I plan on being able to do at least 5x5 for like 260. I think those numbers work out. And that's fine by me. And then, you know, after that, you know, I got 4 weeks of that. Then I'll roll into a 3x3 period where, again, the overall volume is significantly, drastically reduced. And I may even bump it up to a 4x3. I haven't decided yet. But the overall volume will be drastically reduced, but the intensity will then be allowed to shoot straight up, much, much higher. And the plan moving forward, assuming the body holds together and actually gets better over time, which so far it has, but it hasn't. I have my good weeks and bad weeks. But assuming everything works, I'm going to use the perfect set of the 3x3s to then calculate a 1 rep max, start another linear progression actually based off of percentages this time. Right now, I'm just basing it essentially off RPE, just because I'm too nervous to do 1 rep max testings at all, and I don't feel like doing 5 rep maxes. I find 5s are a good number of reps to sort of base calculations off of. 3's a few too many, 7's a few too much, 5's a really good range. If you can do 5 perfect reps with a certain weight, that seems to calculate pretty well to a 1 rep max, in my opinion. with a lot of risk, a lot less risk, I should say, than say going for a 1 rep that's just too much and failing. I'm only apprehensive to do that on the deadlift and the squat. Not so much apprehensive to do that on, like, say, the bench press, because, you know, there's risk of injuring shoulders and elbows and, you know, potentially necks if things go really bad. But, you know, in terms of my back, it's a much safer movement for me. Although, you know, I am bowed up a little bit. The natural curvature of the spine is taking just a little bit of pressure through the legs and the hips, hip grav. At least I try to use a little bit of hip grav when I bench. Let's see, what else is there? Yeah, so that's the plan. Then use the 3x3 to calculate the 1 rep, and then start the next linear progression after 3 months of this, and see where I'm at. I know the only comp I was really planning on doing next year was going to be the Miami's Baddest, which is normally in April, so I figure I'm in essentially week 1, just finished week 1 of this, so I've got, 11 more weeks. So let's see, we're in October, November, December, so then I have January, February, and March would be the next 3s. Don't know if I actually have time to do that. We'll see. That may end up turning into a couple 3 weeks of easier, lighter training into a contest prep block. We'll have to see when things are announced. And, you know, or maybe I'll even skip that and just do the Scorcher instead. I don't want to because I skipped it last year, so we'll have to play a lot of that by ear, but for now, that is the essential plan moving forward. I like the plan. So far, it's been going pretty good. Been doing a lot more accessory work than I have in the past, putting a lot more emphasis on it. And going in 4 days a week now, during the week, instead of the 3 that I was doing, seems to be working out pretty well, because now when I go in on Saturdays, a lot of times there's like a couple accessory things I didn't do on like Wednesday or Thursday or Tuesday, and I just do them on Saturday instead. So I'm still getting that extra things going on. This Saturday, I'm probably going to add another squat day in. Something that's a little bit heavier, just because I do want to touch slightly heavier weights, but the volume is going to be super stupid low. I mean, we're talking singles all the way. I'll warm up with 5s, and then, by set 3, there should be 160 pounds on the bar, or 180 or whatever, and I'll just do it for 1. And then I'll do, 225 for 1, but it's going to be a perfect 1. You know what I mean? Just to really touch those heavier weights again. Not too concerned about that with things like the deadlift, but definitely on the squat, I want to get back, because what I found is squatting seems to help my back a lot. And my hips, so I want to really put a little extra weight on it every once in a while, just even once a week, and I might just do that twice a month, even just put a second squat day in just to do it, and just literally just squats, and that's it. And then after I do that, tomorrow I'll do the accessories I didn't do tonight, which is going to be some more back stuff. And then I think there was some accessories I missed on my bench day, so I'll do some of those. So I'll just superset on my back and pressing stuff. Make just a big set of those, big superset of all that. Rows into dumbbell bench, incline bench, and all that good stuff. After my squats, which, again, super low volume. We're talking maybe 7 sets of total squats, like 2-3 warm-ups, and then like 4 working sets with just singles, just to get used to slightly heavier weight on my back, but it's not to the point where it's going to actually leave me sore for Tuesday's important squat training, which in this case is going to be the higher volume. So that's the plan moving forward, and then eventually we'll actually get to play with some percentages again. So far it's going pretty good. I like where my deadlifts are at. I like where I don't like where they're at, but I like how they feel. Retune things just a little bit, hand placement, foot placement, working on things that I know were troubled for me in the past, and gonna just have to work on them now. So let's see, just get into the numbers real quick, because I know it's a bit longer this go round. We are at start of the pressing on Mondays now, overhead pressing, using a wobbly bar. The bar is actually the collar spin. I normally would use a bar where the collars don't spin so much, but this one, the sleeves spin. Normally I wouldn't use a bar with sleeves that spin as much, but it's harder with the sleeves spinning, so why wouldn't I do that? It's going to do nothing if not help with my stabilization. And people that think they don't need that are wrong. So, I think I worked up to like 115, a set of 8, 115 maybe, on press. I don't even really remember. I'm again trying to keep form very, very tight on that, keep from hyperextending my back too much. And that's a tough one, so it's a lot of really using the lats to rest, and then pressing overhead well. Might need to add some pectoral stretches in before I do that kind of stuff on Mondays. Tuesday squat day, I believe I worked up to a set of 175 or 170 or even 165 for a set of 8, but they looked dead nuts perfect. Upper back stayed tight the whole time, drove up with the hips because I am low bar squatting. For my main movement, I actually do a high bar squat for warm-ups and do Zerchers as as accessory movements. So I'm doing my front squats and my high bars too, getting some little hitting it from different angles. I also do goblet squats, far and close, during warm-ups too. just to hit it from a lot of different angles. And then, yeah, not too concerned with where the weight's at. It is what it is. Keeping everything tight is the most important thing for me right now. Wednesday off, Thursday bench day. I think I worked up to 215 for a set of, I called it 6 3/4. Because really, I don't think the spotter helped much on the 7th rep, but definitely rescued me a bit on the 8th. But honestly, I'll probably still use that number going into next week. Only because I know bench is not, I wouldn't, although that's like going to failure, on bench, my bench is going to shoot up. It's just how it works. And I'm nowhere near where I was, so it's going to shoot right back. That's one movement where going to failure on a movement is actually going to help me. And then tonight did deadlifts. I think I worked up to a whopping 205 pounds. But things I'm working on there is breaking the bar from the ground with my upper back. And after keeping tight throughout the whole movement, and then after reviewing the actual footage, I want to sit back just a little bit more. I felt like I was a little too far forward on a lot of the reps. On rep 8, by the time I was actually tired, I had actually leaned back just a little bit more, sat back a little bit more, not down, but back just a little bit more, and I actually liked that start position from what I saw just a little bit better. My shoulder blades, my shoulders were just a little bit further back and a little more over the bar versus in front of it. And I feel like that's going to give me a better pulling position. So that's the next things to work on my deadlift. But there was no pain, stayed tight throughout the whole movements, and definitely felt my upper back sort of breaking the ground and then driving with the legs, through the floor. So that's about it. I apologize for talking so long, but it's been overdue. The plan has been overdue for a while. Thank you all for watching. Be sure to check out the yearly update. That one's long. It's like 30-something minutes. And I ramble. I should have written notes or something, but for that kind of stuff, I don't do that. Started writing out notes for the masterclass series for the Stones. As soon as the weather looks like it won't rain every weekend here in Florida, like I told Kai, I'll start filming. But if I can't film if it's going to start raining outside every time I get going. So the plan is to show that from start to finish. We'll get there when we get there. Thank you all for watching. Check out the yearly update. 5 years. It's a long time to have been doing this. If you don't, then what's your excuse?